What if the reason wealth feels heavy is because we were taught it required sacrifice? Not sacrifice of comfort, not sacrifice of ease, but sacrifice of integrity. Why do so many people believe you must harden your heart to grow your bank accounts? Why does hustle culture glorify exhaustion as if burnout is a badge of honor? And why does winning often look like losing yourself? Great awakening, magnificent people. I am Jazmian D. Welcome to the Generational Rhodium. It is the healing and media component of HWPLP. HWPLP stands for Health, Wealth, Prosperity, Love, Peace. We are a movement-driven investment firm committed to building generational wealth through healing, collective economics, real estate, and venture capital. Please take a moment to comment, like, share, and subscribe. It really does help us reach the people that this content is for, including yourself. So thank you so much in advance. This begins our new series, From Scarcity to Sovereignty, Rewriting the Wealth Story. Now let's get into this magnificence. Many people pursue wealth from a survival state, from scarcity, from fear of being left behind, from childhood instability, and from unhealed trauma. Psychologically, it really affects us. Research has found that in a study done by the self-determination theory, a research showed that when motivation is purely external, money, validation, status, your well-being, it declines. Let's look at that. Because you're not doing it for you. You're achieving for others. And because you're doing it for others, you feel it doesn't get the gratification that it deserves. Because it's not something that's resonating with your heart. It is what you feel others think that you should do. You might achieve things, but you won't ever feel fulfilled. There was a study done by the American Psychology Association, APA, in 2002. It shows that chronic financial pressure, it elevates our cortisol and it impairs our decision making and increases our anxiety and our rational thinking. When your nervous system is dysregulated, you don't invest in self. You're reacting for others. You don't build. You're defending. You're always on the defense. And then, of course, we have this competitive culture. Harvard did a study in 2018, and it found that high pressure, win at all cost environment, it increases unethical decision making and reduces long-term life satisfaction. So getting the bag in a state of losing thyself is what I was going to say, is not going to give you satisfaction. It's temporary satisfaction. Because you're climbing. You accumulate wealth, money. I would say riches, not wealth, because it doesn't last. You outperform others. But internally, your nervous system, it remains on that flight or fight mode. You're never comfortable. Your relationships, they weaken. Your trust, it decreases. Your joy, it shrinks. Because wealth that is gained or riches that is gained is through fear, and it is amplified fear. This is how someone can be rich, as I said, and still feel empty. What if wealth is not something you chase? What if it is something that you must align with? You build wealth from a healing place. You should build your wealth from a healing place. You regulate before you make a decision. You rest before you expand. Not doing these impulsive, reactive decision making. Your system is rested. Your system is ready to make a decision because you are aligned before you even accept anything. In these situations, you don't just say yes to opportunities that fracture your spirit. You don't multiply what your nervous system cannot hold. You don't confuse urgency with your destiny. Psychologically, this is so powerful. It's more than just thinking about what others want you to do. It is taking your power back. Oh my God, take it back. We have given our power to so many people our whole entire life. We cannot continue. It is depleting us. Because our nervous systems, they feel safe when we choose us, where we make a decision to not do for others. We feel safe. Our frontal cortex, it's a part of our brain that's responsible for our long-term planning. When you're in a comfortable state, it starts to function at its optimal level. You make grounded decisions, not impulsive. You delay gratification and you think strategically. This is a state of alignment because your safety is increased and it creates stability. Your health is stabilized, and so you move in a more strategic manner. You don't have to lose your soul, yourself, who you are, your integrity to gain prosperity. You have to regulate your system so that you hold it. Now, let me tell you a story. There was a man, he wanted wealth more than anything that he can think of in his life. So he did what he thought was the way to build wealth. He worked relentlessly. No time for others, no time for friends, no time for family. He cut corners. He didn't think about how cutting corners affected other people, how it took out some other people's potential because he cut those corners. He manipulated conversation. He double talked people. He over talked people. He manipulated people in a way that he knew what he was doing. It was intentional for him to make people think that he was something more than he was. And his favorite thing to do was to gaslight anyone who came in his path so that he can have the upper hand. He did all these things, and then he did what he thought was winning. He won in his mind because he was accumulating money. He was rising quickly in all the things that he thought. He was rising quickly. And then he got to the top of his goals, the top of his ambitions. But when he looked around himself, he was all alone. Nobody was there. Nobody trusted him. Nobody supported him. He had no community. He had nobody who wanted to help him as he continued to build his wealth or his riches. Nobody was there. He had this level of influence, but no intimacy. Intimacy of friends, intimacy of colleagues who respected him. So one morning, because he was exhausted of living in this perpetual state of loneliness, perpetual state of fear, because everything he did, because he did it without integrity, he knew that it can crumble at any time. It had all the potential to crumble at any time. So because he was exhausted of being in this consistent state, he got up one morning and he sat down and he meditated. He started off with 6 minutes. Then he moved to a 10-minute session, and then ultimately a 30-minute session. And in his silence, he saw clearly. And he was able to realize that what he was doing was not building wealth, because he was doing it by himself. And he was doing it in a way that it was ill-gotten. So he shifted. He redirected his capital. He started to invest and uplift others. He started to repair the relationships that he burned as he came up through the top. He started to fund his growth. And that meant healing practices that he started to do, retreats, sessions with psychologists, so that he can release all this energy that he had accumulated and thought that that was the right way. And he saw as he got to the top, it was not. Because he wanted to move beyond his ego, that humility that we all must stand in. And then he started to align with his business. He started to align with his values, and he started to change. The people around him even changed. It went from 0 to people who had similar mindsets of him, who wanted that growth, who had trust in him, and he had trust in them. And their partnership started to deepen. And his riches shifted to wealth, financially, spiritually, emotionally. He became whole, perfect, and complete. Now let's let this sit in a little bit and do a very quick centering breathing exercise. This will be very brief, just a 6-box breathing exercise, expanding on our intakes and exhales because we want to expand our lungs as we expand our minds. Let's get into this. Inhale. I build wealth in alignment. Hold. My nervous system is safe with success. Exhale. I release fear-based striving. Hold. I choose sovereignty over survival. Round 2. Inhale. I build wealth in alignment. Hold. My nervous system is safe with success. Exhale. I release fear-based striving. Hold. I choose sovereignty over survival. Last time. Inhale. Hold. Exhale. Hold. Notice how this stillness feels different than urgency. This is the foundation of sacred prosperity. Thank you. There are many shifts that we have to make. One shift is from hustle to alignment. We must ask ourselves when we are in motion, when we are making decisions, when we are moving towards the goals that we have set for ourselves, or maybe others have set for us, and we've made it our own. We need to ask ourselves, is the decision I'm making rooted in clarity, or is it rooted in fear? Fear of not accomplishing what others think that you should accomplish. Fear of not being successful. Fear of being successful. Fear of being more than you thought you can be. Fear of getting something that you feel that you're not worthy of. Ask our questions as we are moving. How does this make me feel? Align back with our intuition. We have to connect to who we are. Because when we ignore which we have been doing for so long, it becomes a whisper. And that whisper needs to be heard. So allow it to come back and be you. Because it is you. But you've let so much chaos overshadow it. Listen. A second shift we need to make is from urgency to a divine timing. We feel like everything has to work when we absolutely feel it must work. We feel like it has to happen right now or it is not right. But things happen when they are supposed to happen, where it will be the most pivotal time in our life, the most important time for our life. Sometimes things don't happen at a certain time that we want them to because maybe it's more work that we need to put into it. Or maybe if it happens right there, it will crumble. So it happens when it's supposed to, because when it happens when it's supposed to, it happens in divine timing. And divine timing means, of course, it's divine and it will stay and it will manifest into even greater things than maybe we can even imagine. A third shift that we need to make is from extraction to contribution. We have been put in this perpetual mindset of thinking that we must take from others in order to win. When our wealth expands, that means we need to help expand in other places. It doesn't mean that we need to hoard it. It doesn't mean that we need to run away and be just with our wealth by ourselves because that is a state of being successful. It's not. You will notice even in the smallest things, the more you give, the better you feel. And that's for a reason. A fourth shift that we need to make is from image to integrity. We have this image or this reputation that we feel we must uphold. Because if we don't uphold it, people won't love us. People won't look at us the same way. We won't get the respect that we feel that we must have. But when we take off these masks, these costumes, and vibrate in our trueness, it will always outlast the performance that we put on for others. Aren't you tired of performing for others? We, as Black people, as melanated people, have been performing for others since the beginning of time. And it's time to take that power that we have in being excellent performers and flip it into something that works for us and not doing what it works for everyone else. We also need to shift from isolation to shared prosperity. Because we need to shift from the mindset of we have to make it work for everyone else. You don't rise by climbing alone. You rise by moving together. Now, here are some tools that can help you make sure that you're shifting into a sacred prosperity in your actions. One, you can do a weekly integrity check-in. And this is where you ask yourselves, am I compromising to move faster? Now, we're staying in alignment and integrity of ourselves. So if we are compromising to move faster, we need to reassess what we're doing. Number 2 is aligned investment audit. When we are investing into anything, finances, people, companies, communities, we need to ask ourselves, does this community or does this opportunity or does this job or does this investment, does it reflect who I am and who I see myself becoming? And if it doesn't, that's what I said, waking up this intuition, you move on. Number 3 is healing before scaling rule. There will never be a state, even though I wake up every morning between 4 and 5 o'clock to meditate before I go exercise or before I start working for the day. Because I invest in me every single day. I invest in my growth every single day. There will be never a time where I can say I'm completely healed because I'm always learning, I'm always growing, and I'm always evolving and ascending. So having a healing before scaling rule means that you're in this state of healing, of growth, of forgiveness, of loving, of acceptance. So it doesn't allow you to get to those states of burnout because that's not a part of your existence. You make sure the steps that you make are responsible. Not because you were sitting down planning and plotting about them, because it becomes a shift in how you move in the world. The more you invest into your healing, the more you invest into your individual growth. And last is a contribution allocation. It's when you dedicate. Dedicate. I'm trying to say both of the words at the same time. But when you delegate or dedicate a portion of your income towards something that uplifts, not just something that will accumulate, but something that will uplift, something that will make things grow, something that will make things more magnificent. And last, as I stated, I wake up every single morning and I meditate. I have a morning alignment ritual. It is essential to the productivity in my day. Some people do 10 minutes of silence, 5, 10. It's okay to work your way up. I do it an hour. And it resonates and it works for me. Not saying that it has to be somebody's way. It would be lovely to be able to do it more than an hour, but I do it for an hour every morning. And a lot of times during that meditation, so many great things come up, including decision making that lead to financial freedom. The small practices that we create and we use every single day, they create massive shifts. Don't try to bite off more than you can chew. Take little bites and you'll still get to the end, because you don't have to choose between prosperity or purity. That, goodness, that is something I want to debunk completely. People feel like if you're prosperous, you can't be a good person. If you have money, if you have wealth, that you're not a good person. Erase that mindset from yourself. Because if that's the case and you feel you're a good person, you are already, with the words that you say that are so powerful, because the words that you say, they're spells. You're creating your existence. So when you erase that mindset of only the wealthy are evil, when you erase that and turn it to, you can be prosperous and pure. You allow that wealth to come to you because it's been wanting to come, but you keep pushing it away by saying things that are not true. So I want to close with the HWPLP affirmation. Heal your mind, body, and spirit. Build the wealth that is your birthright. Live in full prosperity, love unconditionally, and be in a state of peace. And so it is, and so I am, and so it be. I want to thank you so much for joining me for this Generational Rhodium. I am Jazmian D with HWPLP, and I absolutely, positively look forward to seeing you next time. Until next time, peace, love, and light. Thank you. Magnificent people, if this message resonated with you, don't just watch, engage, like, comment, subscribe, and join the community where we're building healing and wealth together. Peace and love.